Gunfire and death in a Van Nuys bar, a weekend of holiday violence in the Southland.
The CHP toughens up on the freeways in a campaign that has saved lives.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger terminates a competition at the box office on this Monday, July 8th, 1991.
Now, Southern California's first 2-hour morning newscast. Carlos Amezcua, Barbara Beck, Mark Prisky with traffic and weather. KTLA Morning News.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. In just a moment, we are going to take you up in Skycam 5 for a look at the weather making news this morning.
A little bit of a surprise. We've got some rain, and it's slowing down traffic out there on the freeways. Mark Prisky will be along in just a few moments with traffic and weather details.
Also in the news this morning, a new home video, this one of rival LA gangs fighting and one teen being shot 50 times with shotgun pellets. We'll tell you how that video is helping police in this newest case of video violence.
Plus, Mayor Tom Bradley will join us in the studio to talk about the Christopher Commission's report on the Rodney King beating.
And Michelle Ruiz talks with Arnold Schwarzenegger about his new film that is already breaking records.
But first, our top story this morning, at least 21 people are dead and 26 injured after a holiday weekend of violence throughout the Southland. And again, innocent children are among the victims. Reporter Eric Spillman has been keeping track of the violence and joins us live from one of the crime scenes. Eric?
Well, Carlos, detectives are still trying to figure out exactly what happened here. Apparently, some of the patrons inside this bar here in Pacoima got into an argument early this morning. One of them pulled a gun, and when it was all over, one man was dead. It was one of many violent incidents that took place this weekend, and the violence took its toll on children. Michelle Jones is the youngest victim of the weekend violence, just 14 months old. She and her parents were getting out of their car to go inside their home in the Willowbrook area when somebody drove by and fired a gun. The little girl died at a hospital. Her parents and an uncle were also hit and injured. Police don't know why it happened. They're not even sure if the gunman, whoever it was, intended to target the family. In South Central LA, a bullet hole in a window. That one also came from a passing car. It sent a 4-year-old boy to the hospital in critical condition. In Walnut Park, a 17-year-old boy is found dead in his backyard. Police say he was shot to death during an argument with another teen. And in Anaheim, a young woman is on her way to the hospital after she was shot in the neck. Police have no witnesses, no idea why. All told, violent crimes took the lives of at least 20 people in LA and Orange County over the weekend. Another 26 or so injured in shootings and stabbings and the like, and at least a half a dozen of those were under the age of 18. Carlos and Barbara?
Thank you, Eric, for that report. In East Los Angeles, a motorcyclist opened fire on a crowd of people, but he was thrown from the bike and killed when someone fired back. Barbara?
Carlos, Los Angeles police say they have a gang shooting on tape thanks to another amateur cameraman. The footage shows rival gangs fighting, including scenes of a teen being shot 50 times with a pellet shotgun. Investigators are hoping to use the videotape to track down those involved in the melee, which happened in a Southgate neighborhood. A flurry of residents called police, but by the time they showed up, most gang members had fled the scene. The video is expected to be released to the LA media later today. The highways were safer this 4th of July than they were in years past. The CHP is comparing this year's statistics to those in 1989. That's the last 4-day Independence Day holiday. 47 people died in traffic accidents around the state this year. There were 53 deaths during the 1989 holiday. CHP says it has cracked down on people not using seatbelts, and that may have had an impact on the number of deaths. The number of drunk driving arrests was also down this year.
3 residents of a retirement home are in critical condition this morning after a fire destroyed their building. A building at Cross Creek Cottages in Costa Mesa was engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived Sunday morning. Some of the elderly residents were rescued from the burning building by neighbors who woke up to breaking glass and a roaring fire.
I just started bringing them out and telling them to stay there. And I brought 2 out, and then I went back in. By then the fire was just real thick. I couldn't see, but I knew where the rooms were and everything. And that's when I ran into a neighbor of mine. We hit heads, and I fell to the floor, and then he pulled me out.
The injured residents were taken to local hospitals and treated for burns and smoke inhalation. The fire broke out when a gas line in a laundry room failed.
And firefighters this morning also want to know who or what triggered a hillside brush fire fueled by shifting winds in Highland Park. The fire started Sunday afternoon near the Pasadena Freeway and Avenue 60. Steep terrain made fighting the fire difficult, and firefighters had to bring in water-dropping helicopters. They did get the fire under control in less than an hour, but by then, the fast-moving fire had damaged 7 homes and 3 cars. No injuries were reported. Well, as you know, it is summer and it is raining outside. The rain began overnight. It caught many people by surprise, including weather forecasters. Mark Kriske, they predicted a 20% chance of rain in the mountains, but Mother Nature didn't seem to listen. The summer storm began just in time to create some traffic problems out on the highway this morning. And at 7:06, we check the traffic and weather. Good morning, Mark Kriske.
Good morning, everyone. And the key word this morning in traffic is go slow. That is the key word. It is turning into a mess out there, and I can't be blamed for the weather on this one. This is my first shot, so you can't blame this one. I mean, you'll have lots of opportunity to do that. But we do have a lot of problems on the highways. The roads, of course, with the oil, it hasn't all been cleaned off, and some of the grease that builds up on it all comes out when the rain falls on the freeways. So do go slow. That is the key word. Let's have a look at the Skycam 5 live. They are over the San Diego freeway right now, southbound into the Sepulveda Pass. And yes, we do have showers on and off, and you can see, especially after a holiday weekend, the traffic is heavy. And then, of course, with the rain, look at that, moving along slowly. We don't even have an accident to report in that area, but traffic is moving along very, very slowly. Other accidents, the 110 North, which is the Harbor Freeway south of Adams. There's an injury accident. 4 cars were involved. The 2 left lanes are blocked now, and an ambulance is on the scene. That is getting backed up for miles. The 5 North at the East LA interchange, stalled truck in the middle lane, and that is backed up all the way to the 605. In Orange County, the 605 south at KTLA, an overturned car. Caltrans is on the scene mopping that up, and you can expect slow and go for the next while. And the Inland Empire heavy on the 91, that is just before the 15 to Cole. Lots of fender benders. Take it nice and slow. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes. Give yourself a couple of extra minutes. Give yourself an extra hour maybe to get into work, and at least you have a good excuse because everyone's going to be in that same situation. Your boss is probably going to be late. Here's what's happening with the weather. First of all, on the satellite shot, we do have a very warm, moist southeasterly flow. And there, right there, you can see the clouds, and that is what is giving us our rain. It's going to continue on and off through this afternoon. It will clear out, but later on in the afternoon, we have about a 20% chance of some more clouds and showers, and even possibly through the desert areas in the mountains. We might even see some thunderstorms developing along the coast. You can see rain. Northern California looking pretty good at the moment, and that's the way the weather is going to be shaping up for the next while, continuing once again with that upper air disturbance, that southeasterly flow coming up all the way from Mexico. Temperatures this afternoon, daytime highs in through the Orange County, down in around Oceanside, San Diego, 72 to 75 degrees. Anaheim, 82. Long Beach will have a high of 78 degrees. Los Angeles, 83. Temperatures cooling down just a touch, and, well, quite a bit more with the rain, that's for sure. Not quite as hot in the deserts. 87 degrees for Burbank, up to 91 in Palmdale, and in through the San Fernando Valley. The temperatures will be a little bit cooler, but the humidity will be up, so it will still seem hot and humid. Temperature at the moment, 66 degrees. Relative humidity, 81%. Barometric pressure, 29.95. And the winds are from the southwest at 12 miles per hour, with showers, drizzle, and light rain throughout all of the city and throughout most areas, on and off continuing for this afternoon.
81%, unless, of course, you're outside and it's raining on you.
That's it. It's
100%.
at that point.
Thanks, Mark. Well, a tradition dating back to the year 1324 proved just as exciting in 1991. Thousands jammed the streets of Pamplona, Spain this weekend for the annual running of the bulls. Like the thousands before them, these young men tested their bravery by running the half-mile stretch to the bull ring, well, hopefully without being gored by one of the bulls. Now check it out. Kind of rough on the bulls as well. Only one man was injured, but no one's sure if he was trampled by a bull or by the thousands of people running with them.
I'll say it's rough on the bulls. I mean, their fate's determined. They go to the bull ring and it's over.
Eventually
Over
it
for
is,
them.
I guess.
Yes. It is 7:10 when the morning news continues. Police search for vandals who desecrated Ryan White's grave.
McDonnell Douglas may have to do some shuffling and dump hundreds of California jobs.
And Mayor Tom Bradley joins us to talk about some challenges facing Los Angeles.
You bought it, Matt. You got to handle it.
If you buy something at Circuit City, then see it advertised for less, just come back. Our low price guarantee means you'll get the difference.
Excuse me. Last week I bought this.
Plus 10% of the difference.
And today I saw this. Just open the paper and there it was.
It's that easy. Here.
That's it?
That's it.
Cool.
If you've been looking to buy a new car, this may be helpful to know. The Honda Civic Sedan is the best overall value in its class. Of course, if you already have one, you've probably figured that out on your own.
What a beauty. I love the color. I love the tires. Look at my car. There it is again. Oh, it looks so big. It costs so little. Somebody pinch me. So cute. Oh, I'm going to call my friends. Come on, let's carpool.
It's where individuals become a family. It's where they share memories and news and opinions. It's where parents get to know their children and their children's children. Homes will always be an important part of people's lives. That's why home loans are such a secure investment. And that's where Home Savings of America has put its depositors' money for more than 100 years.
On the old tasteometer, steak fajitas rated 9. Then along came the steak fajita melt. Broke the needle.
Steak fajitas with melting spicy cheese on grilled sourdough. The new steak fajita melt at Jack in the Box.
Look at these fries. They're all twisted up. I mean, curled up, swirled up, seasoned up, and in a minute, finished up.
New seasoned curly fries. A crispy, tasty new twist on fries at Jack in the Box.
And back at 7:12 this morning, let's take a look at how things are shaping up in business news. On Wall Street at this hour, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 3 points at 2,928 points. Volume is 1,710,000 shares. Moving over to the precious metals department on the New York Commodities Exchange, gold opened at $372 an ounce, up 50 cents, while silver opened at $4.48 an ounce, unchanged from its close prior to the 4th of July holiday. Meanwhile, prices on the Tokyo Stock Exchange closed lower on Monday. The Nikkei was down 722 points from the previous session, closing at 22,176.
Well, another blow to the Southland's struggling aerospace industry. McDonnell Douglas Corporation says it plans to shift 1,600 jobs from California to Missouri. The company will reassign the jobs from Long Beach to St. Louis for work on the C-17 Air Force cargo jet and the MD-11 and MD-80 commercial airliners. McDonnell Douglas employs about 35,000 workers at its plants in Long Beach. Well, here's some information to help you keep up with the competition as you head to work today. The richest person in the world, according to Forbes magazine, is Japanese real estate tycoon Takachiro Mori. His net worth, $15 billion. But don't fret, America. Our own Sam Moore Walton would have been the richest. It's just that he's so generous, he split his cash among family members. He is the founder, of course, of Walmart discount stores. Others on the B list, the DuPont family in the U.S. with $10 billion, followed by Swedes Hans and God Rousing with a paltry $9 billion. How's that make you feel?
Very, very, very
poor.
inadequate.
That's what, poor, right?
In world news this morning, in Yugoslavia, a brand new ceasefire agreement seems to be holding in the breakaway Republic of Slovenia, but there is growing ethnic violence to the south in Croatia. Yugoslavian leaders and mediators from other countries met on the island of Brioni in the Adriatic to hammer out a peace agreement. Slovenia has been given limited control of its 27 border posts, but must turn over revenues collected from commuters to the federal government. Armies on both sides have been ordered back to barracks. Naval experts say there are still more live Iraqi mines in the Persian Gulf left over from the Gulf War. A 9-nation naval task force has already cleared more than 1,200 tethered mines out of shipping lanes. That's about 200 more than the Iraqis claimed existed. No one knows how many more are still out there. An international fleet of minesweepers, including 6 Japanese vessels, was scheduled to disband later this month. Now, those ships may be held over to finish the cleanup.
Time now is 7:15. British authorities have launched a massive manhunt for 2 armed fugitives who escaped from maximum security at Brixton Prison in London. The suspected IRA terrorists shot a motorist in the leg and drove off in his car. The men were awaiting trial on charges of conspiracy to murder, and they are suspected of several bombings last November. In Indiana, vandals attacked the grave of Ryan White over the weekend. White is the Indiana teenager who became famous during his fight against AIDS and the prejudice against people with AIDS. A pair of 1-ton monuments and a graveside torch were knocked over, apparently on Friday night. Police say teenagers from out of town may have been responsible for that vandalism. Carlos?
In sports this morning, Major League umpire Steve Palermo and former NFL defensive lineman Terrence Mann are recovering from gunshot wounds this morning. The two were shot early yesterday in a Dallas parking lot while trying to help 2 waitresses being robbed. A hospital spokesperson says Palermo is in serious condition. Mann is listed in good condition. 4 suspects were arrested after running a red light. Well, what a night in Arlington, Texas, as Angels pitcher Chuck Finley faced future Hall of Famer Nolan Ryan. The Angels were never really in this game. Ryan struck out 10 of the first 14 Angel hitters, including a team record 7 in a row. In the 5th, 39-year-old Dave Winfield watched the 44-year-old Ryan throw a perfect curve on an 0-2 pitch. Swings and he misses. The 2 ageless veterans would meet again in the 8th inning with Ryan working toward his 8th career no-hitter, but it was not to be. That's when Winfield broke up Ryan's bid. Still, the Rangers swept the 3-game series. Rangers win it 7-zip. And it was a scream at Dodger Stadium against the Braves. Manager Tommy Lasorda had a few words with the umpiring crew, and even before his team warmed up, Lasorda was given an early shower. In the bottom of the 4th, Darryl Strawberry's first career hit off Atlanta's Charlie Leibrandt scores Brett Butler 2-1 Dodgers. Butler extended his career-best hitting streak to 21 games by going 3 for 4. Dodgers win at 5-3 and have a 5-game lead in the West going into that All-Star break. The odds were 33-1 that Michael Stich could win the championship at Wimbledon, and defying the odds, Stich beat up fellow German Boris Becker in the first all-German final. 3-time champion Boris Becker in the far court was expected to ruin the Cinderella story of his 22-year-old opponent, but Stich rose to the occasion. He beat Becker with 18 winners and 3 aces in the first set alone. Becker appeared to come on strong in the second set, only to falter as Stich got stronger and stronger. Michael Stich's quick forehand was just too much for Becker. Stich wins his first ever Grand Slam title. And a couple of final notes this morning. The U.S. soccer team put on quite a show for the home crowd. The team beat Honduras 4-3 on penalty kicks after playing to a scoreless tie. And the much heralded and highly paid rocket of football, Raghib Ismail, is injured and probably will miss the season opener for the Toronto Argonauts. He missed the entire exhibition season. And that's sports.
At 7:18, looking ahead to stories developing later in the day, Los Angeles City Councilman Nate Holden and former football player Jim Brown will discuss a new graffiti cleanup program to be put into effect by street gangs. Sentencing is scheduled for Don Ray Moore, a former elementary school teacher who pleaded guilty to molesting 5th and 6th grade students. And Congressman Mel Levine will release a report detailing measures to stop the pollution of beaches and coastal waters. At 7:19.
If you haven't left for work, guess what? You're late.
You're late.
You're going to be late all day long.
It is
At
raining.
This rate, it's raining outside. Let's check in with Mark Kriske to find out how the freeways are. Mark?
Much needed rain. The only problem is the timing of it. Of course, it had to come during the morning rush hour. If you happen to be a salesman and you're going to be on the roads all afternoon, it's rough going this morning, and it's going to be rough going throughout the afternoon. Still a 20% chance of rain later on this afternoon. We'll check out the weather in just a second. First of all, to the Skycam 5. It is now over the Golden State at the 134, giving us beautiful pictures. Actually, this is one of the few downtown areas in and around the Orange County and in and around through greater Los Angeles that is moving along quite nicely. It does start to get backed up, as you can see, heading up into the top of the picture. We had tape earlier of the San Diego freeway southbound at the Sepulveda Pass. There, everything is slow, and you can see the reflection off the road. Lots of rain. Do take it nice and slow. The volume of traffic a lot heavier after a holiday weekend. That always happens, and with this rain, it's just not helping things at all. The 134 east west of Victory, a light pole is blocking the off-ramp. That has things backed up. The 605 south near Rosecrans, 4-car accident blocking the 2 left lanes. CHP are on the scene. And we also have the 5 north in Orange County, heavy from La Paz to Lake Forest. Take it nice and easy. Just take your time this morning. You're not going to get anywhere in a rush. Slow down, and you might be able to save yourself a whole lot of heartache. Here's what's happening if you're traveling today. We had some heavy thunderstorms in around the Pittsburgh area and into Minnesota. Yesterday, Minnesota funnel cloud actually touched down, and it is associated with a cold front heading toward the northeast right now, and that is going to swing through, but it's weakening a little bit. But in areas such as New York and New England, you can expect to have some rain. Might want to check with the airports. Miami, clear skies this afternoon, but a good likelihood of thunderstorms developing all the way through the Gulf Coast. Temperatures up to 88 in Atlanta. Miami, hot, humid, 92 degrees, sticky. 95 in New York, 86 in Denver, 66 for San Francisco, and 83 into Seattle. At the moment, temperatures 66, relative humidity 81%, barometric pressure 29.95, and the winds are from the southwest at 12. That's your morning traffic and weather situation.
The word is be careful, leave early. Thank you, Mark. At 7:21, 3 ministers got a little closer to heaven this weekend so they could praise the Lord a little better. The Oregon ministers parachuted from a plane to celebrate the completion of their new church. They say they were not afraid. However, they did pray before jumping. We'll be back.
The Business Report is brought to you by The Money Store, America's largest independent home equity lender.
All home equity loans are not created equal. The Money Store gives you a home equity loan so good, we guarantee it. Use the money for home improvements, college tuition, bill consolidation, anything at all. Or return the money within 14 days at no cost to you. For a home equity loan at a low fixed rate we guarantee you like, call right now. 1-800-LOAN-YES. The Money Store, where America goes for money.
Oh, Miz, are you eating Newts and cottage cheese plain again?
Well,
looks like you're trapped in the 50s, back when cottage cheese creativity was at an all-time low.
Well, what can you do with it?
Don't be wiggy. Scoop it in a baked potato. Spice it up with salsa. Swirl it in pasta.
Oh, I've got a meeting.
Meeting? You've got a floor to wax.
Me?
Newts and low-fat cottage cheese. Now it comes in 4 packs.
And welcome back at 7:24. The Christopher Commission is putting the final touches on its review of police policies and procedures. The Blue Ribbon Panel, formed in response to the March 3rd beating of motorist Rodney King, releases its findings tomorrow. One of the commission's main priorities was to investigate charges of the use of excessive force by LAPD officers. The panel will present its report to Mayor Bradley, Police Chief Gates, and other city officials.
The Rodney King case has divided our community like no other issue in recent memory. It's dogged LA from every television set, challenging us to find answers to ugly questions it raises. Now, joining us today to discuss his plans for reunification of the city and taking us past this incident is Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley. Welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And by the way, congratulations to KTLA. This is a great innovation in the morning news, and we're looking forward to a great run.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here today. Two issues happening today: the change of venue hearing in the Rodney King case and the commission report. Give us your thoughts on those two.
I believe that you can't find any place in California where people will not have heard of the Rodney King case. I don't see any reason why they can't have a fair trial in Los Angeles County, and thus I see no need to move.
One question that comes to mind as we've read in the opening moments of this newscast: 21 people were killed over the weekend. Violence continues on the rise here in Los Angeles. The Rodney King case sort of putting a dark cloud over the police department. How is your administration addressing both of these issues, police confidence and escalating crime?
Violence, unfortunately, is a part of our history and part of the present, not just here, but around the world. We have to deal with it to the best of our ability, and that means having adequate law enforcement to handle these kinds of problems. I believe that the Los Angeles Police Department has done a good job in preparing for handling crime situations. Now, occasionally we have a situation like the Rodney King case that sort of diverts our attention from the day-by-day ongoing activity of 8,300 officers in that department. They've got to deal with the long-term as well as the short-term issues. And I hope that out of the Warren Christopher Commission report, we're going to get some guidance as to what we may do in the future.
Now, you took office in 1973, and I recall that there was tremendous division in the city at the time. The Watts riots were just a few years previous to that time. We went several years and made some improvement in Los Angeles, and then things started to degenerate again. And you continue to run on a platform of improved police, racial confidence and agreement. And yet here we are again, back at square one. It seems so many years later.
Not at all. I'm proud to say that in the 18 years of my administration, we've had relative peace and harmony in this city, second to no city in the world. We are the most ethnically diverse city in the whole world. Day by day, on an ongoing basis, we have good relations between the various racial and ethnic groups in this city. Occasionally, you'll have an incident, such as the Rodney King case, that sort of focuses attention on that incident. But that is limited, and I think we have to remember that. This is a great city. It's the sports capital of the world. Look at the fact that just yesterday, the United States soccer team won the championship for North and Central America and the Caribbean area. That's building up to the World Cup, which will take place here in 1994. We truly are a great community. On Friday of this week, we're going to open the U.S. Olympic Festival in this city. 3,000 athletes from the United States will be coming here to sort of tune up for the Olympic Games in Barcelona, Spain next year. We must remember that. We have many positive things happening here all the time, and we should not lose sight of that.
And there were many fears during the '84 Olympics that there might be violence, and indeed there was none. It was a very smooth performing event.
Well, I said that we'd have wonderful Olympic Games. We would not have violence. We would not have crime. We would not have problems with smog or traffic. And sure enough, we had none of those problems. I think that my record is pretty good in predicting what's going to happen. And I think that we have much for which we can be very proud.
One final issue that comes to mind is living in Southern California, you get used to stop-and-go traffic. Your vision for the future on the traffic situation and what's going to happen on the Metro Rail and other things of that sort?
Metro Rail is under construction, is going to be completed. It's an 18-mile system, but that's only part of the whole system. 150 miles of rapid transit in Los Angeles County. We're going to turn to rail travel in the next few years. And in addition to the 150-mile new system, we'll use some of the old railroad rights-of-way for commuter travel. We are going to remove trucks from the streets of Los Angeles during the peak travel hours, 6 to 9 in the morning, 4 to 7 in the afternoon. That's going to help a great deal in relieving traffic congestion.
Mayor Bradley, our thanks to you for coming in this morning on KTLA Morning News.
Thank you.
Look forward to speaking with you again. And we'll be right back.
The Entertainment Report is brought to you by KBIG FM 104.3.
Right now, Charlie Brown's is serving up our live Maine lobster dinners. But at just $13.95, we won't be for long. Whole live Maine lobster dinners, just $13.95 at Charlie Brown's.
Tender live Maine lobsters. Even at Reuben's, we can only get them once a year. Fortunately for you, we've got them right now. Whole live Maine lobster dinners, just $13.95 at Reuben's.
What do you call a home that works with you to save energy? A welcome home, with all the energy-saving extras designed right in. When builders work with Edison to create homes that exceed all state energy efficiency standards, this welcome home decal goes in the window. It's your assurance you'll be cozy and save money too. Not just energy, creative energy. Call Edison for welcome home locations near you.
Welcome back at 7:32. It was a very violent holiday weekend in the Southland. This morning, at least 21 people are dead, 26 injured in attacks throughout the area. Eric Spillman has been covering this story, and he joins us now live from Pacoima. Eric?
Well, Barbara, this was no holiday for the police. They were busy all weekend long, and their latest call was to this bar here on Van Nuys Boulevard in Pacoima, where several hours ago, several patrons got into an argument that turned violent. When it was over, one man was dead, another two were wounded, and it was just one of many incidents that occurred all over the Southland. In Anaheim, a young woman is rushed to the hospital by helicopter. She has been shot in the neck. Police have no witnesses and no explanation. Just one casualty in a weekend of violence, a weekend in which many of the victims are young children. 14-month-old Michelle Jones is the youngest to die. She and her family were in their own driveway on their way inside their Willowbrook home. Somebody drove by and fired a gun. The little girl died at the hospital. Her parents and an uncle are still there recovering from their wounds. In South Central LA, a bullet is fired into a house. Also from a passing car, a 4-year-old boy is critically injured. And in Walnut Park, a 17-year-old boy dies in his own backyard. Police say he was shot after he got into an argument with another teen. The toll from this weekend's violence, 20 people dead, another 26 or so injured, and about a half a dozen or so of those victims were young people. Barbara and Carlos?
Thank you, Eric, for that live report. Well, in a bizarre incident in East Los Angeles, a motorcyclist opened fire on a crowd of people, but he was thrown from the bike and killed when someone fired back. Carlos?
Well, there were not as many drunks driving on California highways this 4th of July weekend. The California Highway Patrol says numbers are slightly less than the last 4-day July 4th weekend in 1989. 2,539 suspected drunk drivers have been arrested. CHP officers were out in force with drunk driver checkpoints throughout the state. Officials say the holiday traffic death rate is also down. 47 people were killed in traffic accidents around the state. And one of those killed this holiday weekend was a pedestrian who may have been drunk when he wandered onto the Hollywood freeway. CHP officials say the man was the victim of a hit-and-run accident. His body was found on the southbound side of the freeway near the Vermont exit. Investigators had to shut down all but one lane of the 101 for more than an hour.
Military police this morning are investigating an apparent murder-suicide at an Army base. 2 soldiers at Fort Irwin were found dead Sunday morning. A base spokesperson says Specialist Terry Stevenson Jr. was found shot to death about 3 hours before his sergeant, Timothy Miller, killed himself. The men were members of the Delta Company's 1st Battalion of the 52nd Infantry. More than 1,400 Catholic worshipers attended Mass at St. Vibiana's Cathedral in downtown Los Angeles this weekend. They were there to welcome Cardinal Mahoney back from the Vatican. This was Mahoney's first Mass since being elevated to the College of Cardinals. The ceremony was marred somewhat by protesters angry over church doctrine against abortion and homosexuality. But Mahoney was more concerned about the rising tide of violence in the Southland. He says it is also of grave concern to the Pope himself.
In case you missed them this weekend, let's check out the winning Lotto 653 numbers from Saturday. The Lotto numbers are 17, 34, 40, 48, 49, 52 with the bonus number 6. A lot of people picked 5, but no one picked all 6, so Wednesday's drawing will be worth $13 million. And the winning deco hand, the King of Hearts, the Jack of Clubs, the 3 of Diamonds, and the Queen of Spades.
I didn't have them. Doesn't surprise you,
Neither
does
did
it?
We're not drawing a lucky hand
That's
in
it.
the
I
weather
had won my
department.
million.
There we go.
It is 7:36. A good time to check the traffic and weather.
Does the word parking lot mean anything to you, or the words parking lot?
Parking lots, that's what we've got
Stay
out there.
That's about it. Let me do. No, that's what the highways and freeways are looking like. We have one massive parking lot happening. You can just about leave your car anywhere over the next couple of hours. Nobody's moving anywhere. Also, don't forget to turn off your sprinkler if you had it on this morning. You don't need it. Skycam 5 live at the Harbor Freeway northbound at Century. Lots of construction, and with that construction, heavy volume of traffic this morning. Things are getting backed up, but you can see in some areas traffic is still moving quite nicely. Earlier, we had the Harbor Freeway also north at Adams, a car and truck collision. There it is. Caltrans is still on the scene, mopping things up and clearing it out. Listen, if you're on the other side of the road, don't slow down to have a look at it. I mean, how many times in your life can you see a towing truck pulling away a car and a truck? It's natural, it happens, and just keep moving along. Also, once again, on the 110 North, just south of Manchester, an accident involving an empty school bus. So if you happen to go by that, the school bus was empty. Nobody was hurt in that accident. The 210 West, east of Allen, the car has spun into the center divider. That is going to slow you down, and the rain is slowing everyone down. In Orange County, we have what we call the classic orange jam. The San Diego Freeway northbound backed up from Westminster all the way to the Long Beach Airport. Give yourself lots of time this morning. Maybe have that extra cup of coffee and say, hey, look, I'm going to be stuck in traffic. Might as well be stuck at home enjoying the coffee. Weather-wise, here's what's happening. We'll show it to you on the satellite shot. A southeasterly flow is coming up all the way from Mexico in through Nevada and even into California, Central California. The further south you go, skies clear out. The further north you go, you clear out. But you can see that band of cloud, and that's what's causing our showers. Even a 20% chance of some thunderstorms this afternoon in the deserts and into the mountains. Let's check out the daytime highs. Not quite as warm as it has been, but the humidity is going to be up there, so it'll still make it feel hot and muggy. Long Beach up to 78, Ontario 90, 91 for Riverside just a couple of days ago, and over the weekend we were looking at highs in the hundreds, so at least it is a little bit cooler. We'll reach a high of 83, 87 in Burbank, 91 in Palmdale, 86 in Van Nuys. Skies will clear out for the San Fernando Valley through this afternoon. 75 degrees in Santa Barbara. Currently 66 degrees. Waking up this morning, the relative humidity up to 81%, unless you happen to be standing under the rain, as Carlos mentioned earlier. when rain is coming down on you, it's about 100%. Barometric pressure 29.95. Winds from the southwest at 12, and that is a quick check of the traffic inbound this morning. You know, it's at this point you wish that they would come up for something with the cellular phones where you could look at somebody's license plate number and be able to call information and get their number, and you're the guy who cut me off, or just start chit-chatting. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, we could start something there. They could be calling in here.
Yeah, that
Thanks,
would be a good
Mark.
idea.
Carlos?
Well, the Big Mo slips into history this morning. Some 20,000 people turned out in Long Beach Sunday for a tour of the historic battleship Missouri. The Big Mo, as it's nicknamed, is being decommissioned after almost 50 years of service. Awestruck tourists were led onto the deck where the instrument of surrender was signed by the Japanese to end World War II. They also got an up-close look at the huge guns that fired on Korea in the early 1950s. The Missouri's last mission was in the Persian Gulf earlier this year.
Through depression and prosperity, travail and celebration, Mutual of New York has provided its policyholders with 148 years of uninterrupted dividends and 54,057 nights of uninterrupted sleep. Mutual of New York. Money for life.
No matter where you work, injuries can happen, even when you least expect it. Don't let work injuries affect your performance. For any workplace injury or illness, call the Injury Hotline at 1-800-654-2654 and get the medical attention you need through your employer's workers' compensation insurance. And best of all, it costs you nothing. Call now, 1-800-654-2654. The Injury Hotline, the original.
Presto! Great, Houdini, but how are you going to make lunch disappear? Easy. Now you see it. Now you don't.
Detergent alone can't catch all unreported stains. The ones you don't discover till the dryer bakes them in. Try Biz Bleach with your detergent to catch many tough stains before it's too late.
It did disappear. You doubt my powers.
Biz gets the stains to get by you.
At Circuit City, our sales counselors will let you play with lots of different video cameras and accessories. And when it comes to making sure you find the one that makes everybody happy, you'll find that they're some of the smartest, most helpful people in the business. How do we know that? We've got it on tape.
Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state of the art.
Welcome back to the KTLA Morning News at 7:42. Jury selection is set to begin in New Orleans today in the long-delayed trial of televangelist Jimmy Swaggart. He's being sued for $90 million by Marvin Gorman, a former competitor. Gorman claims Swaggart conspired to destroy his ministry by spreading rumors of sexual misconduct. Gorman had admitted to one affair and resigned from the Assemblies of God Church. He got his revenge by having a private investigator photograph similar private moments of Swaggart. The exposure of Swaggart's relationship with a prostitute led to his expulsion from his ministry.
Well, California isn't the only state being rocked by Mother Nature these days. A moderate earthquake rattled parts of Missouri and Arkansas yesterday afternoon. The U.S. Geological Survey says the temblor measured in at 4.0 on the Richter scale. No reports of injuries or serious damage. And some violent weather rolled through much of the nation's east, Midwest, and south this weekend. High winds and thunderstorms knocked out power lines, cutting off service to much of Pennsylvania. Some residents are still without power today. 400 people at a religious revival meeting near Philadelphia just finished singing "Anticipating a Miracle" when their tent blew over. At least one tornado ripped through Minnesota, and in Iowa, one woman was killed when winds toppled a tree, smashing her motor home. Truly dangerous weather.
Violent stuff. If you're heading out the door to go to work, you want to know what's going on the freeways, and for that we go to Mark Kriske. Mark?
Good morning, Southern California. What a surprise. It does rain in Southern California in July, just not too often, and unfortunately it happened after a long weekend where the volume of traffic is always heavier, and it seems like after a long weekend people just forget how to drive, and then with the wet roads causing the oil to mix in with that, it is a mess out there. Slow down, take it nice and easy, and remember, be courteous. Skycam 5 live at the San Diego and the 110. Look at that, you can even see all the rain on the windshield of the copter. Slow go is the main word there. It is a dead crawl. That would be the closest way of describing it. We also have an earlier tape of the 110 North, just south of Century Boulevard. There is a truck and a car in an accident, a towing truck on the scene, and they're trying to mop up that situation, hopefully as fast as possible. But look at that. You can see everybody slowing down in the other direction. You shouldn't do that. 605 south at Rosecrans. Accident on the off-ramp, backed up. Major problem. And then we do have, that was the other way around on the maps, the 2 south at San Fernando Road, a 6-vehicle accident. Do take your time this morning and watch out for the other guy. Make sure you leave yourself that, 2 seconds or 3 seconds in between car lanes? Yeah, right, 10 seconds. Okay, yeah, this morning, 10 seconds. Weather today a little bit cooler, of course a little wet. The sun will bust through later on this afternoon. Temperatures not quite as hot as they have been, up to 83 in downtown Ontario, up to 90, 82 degrees for Anaheim, and in through the Van Nuys area, high of 86 degrees. We're standing at 66 at the moment. Relative humidity, the 5-day outlook, just about forgot about it. There we go. 83 degrees this afternoon, partly cloudy with showers, but things will warm up and dry out as we head towards the middle of the week and towards the weekend. Now, the temperature, 66, a little ahead of myself there. Relative humidity, 81%. Barometric pressure, 29.95. The winds are from the southwest at 12. Carlos?
All right, Mark, thanks very much. There's a new America's Most Wanted list out today, but this one is a roster of parents behind on child support payments. The organization that's published the list collected the names of the 22 worst offenders. Together, they owe more than $660,000 in back payments. The worst, Gregory Morey of Peoria, Arizona. Officials say he owes more than $74,000. Also in the lineup is former Washington Redskins running back Timothy Smith. His 2 young children currently are living on welfare in New Mexico.
Time now is 7:46. Coming up on the morning news, police make some progress in nabbing baseball card bandits.
And the ICE cold rapper is fighting what he says is a bum rap.
The whole idea behind Chicken by George was to make an easy, great-tasting meal that was good for you. Well, to me, good for you means fresh, healthy, no preservatives, less than 200 calories. But what I keep hearing is how fast and easy they are. Or they're just great for when my husband gets home late. Or the kids get to pick their favorite, lemon herb or mesquite barbecue. You all have your own reasons why Chicken by George is good for you. And I say, good for you. Available fresh at Ralph's.
If you want really great steak, you can go to a really great steakhouse, or you can come to Coco's. Both serve USDA choice corn-fed beef, like this juicy top sirloin. Both slow roast tender prime rib to bring out all the flavor, and both have unique specialty dishes like Coco's new pepper steak. So why choose Coco's for a great beef dinner? Our prices are a lot easier to swallow. Coco's, steakhouse quality beef, family restaurant prices.
We say no to flimsy. So first of all, we start with a heart of solid brass, which gives Price Pfister faucets every advantage. Solid brass is favored by people in the know, since it's far stronger and lasts longer. Yet our affordability never fails to surprise. So look into and under a Price Pfister, the fabulous faucet with a funny name.
A lot of people treat plastic beverage containers, glass bottles, and aluminum cans like garbage. They're not. They can be recycled to help save natural resources, energy, and extend the life of our landfills. So don't throw them in the trash. They're not garbage anymore. Every container counts, and every 2 are worth a nickel.
Back at 7:48, the sports memorabilia show in Anaheim was marked by yet more theft over the weekend. Security guards arrested a man accused of stealing $30,000 worth of baseball cards. It was the 3rd incident at the crowded annual convention. On Tuesday and again on Wednesday night, rare sports cards worth $600,000 were stolen. Authorities say the suspect, 44-year-old Ronald Allen Fink, was not immediately linked to the earlier thefts.
In showbiz news this morning, attorneys for rap singer Vanilla Ice are expected to enter an innocent plea on his behalf later this morning. He is facing misdemeanor gun charges. The case stems from a run-in between the singer and transient at a Ralph's supermarket at Studio City. Vanilla Ice is accused of threatening the man with a gun. Arraignment on the charges is set for this morning in Van Nuys. Vanilla Ice is not required to be there. The weekend box office was Judgment Day for Terminator 2, and the cyborg showed no mercy. Arnold Schwarzenegger broke all records with a haul estimated at nearly $53 million. The sequel to the 1984 hit breaks records set by Back to the Future 2 and Batman. In second place for the holiday weekend is Naked Gun 2.5. It brought in $12.5 million. Robin Hood took 3rd place, followed by City Slickers, and a tie for 5th place between Problem Child 2 and Rocketeer.
Terminator 2 is reported to be one of the most expensive movies ever made. The estimated price tag, $100 million. Our reporter Michelle Ruiz spoke with the star of the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I guess the question that I have is, did you get your $100 million worth?
Oh, you bet. The effects are spectacular. In fact, it's certainly an upgrade from the first Terminator. In fact, it's that 1984 film, The Terminator, that propelled muscle man actor Arnold Schwarzenegger into international stardom. Right after its completion, Schwarzenegger knew the story needed to be continued. Today, Terminator 2 is out. And Arnold Schwarzenegger talked to me about the sequel and how his character developed.
The big difference between this movie really is that the whole message on the first film was that the world is coming to an end. And it's coming to an end with our own doing. So it was a very grim and kind of dark ending. Whereas in this movie, Jim Cameron has decided to turn that around and to say, well, wait a minute, that maybe is the future, but man can control events.
You were a strong proponent for a sequel. Why is that?
I like the idea of a Terminator sequel. It was just one of the best films I've ever done. There was a tremendous demand for it to do a sequel. Every movie I ever promoted, people always said to me, when are you going to do another Terminator? Terminator 1 was a film that had a tremendous impact on my career, just because it was a character that people just liked.
And with Terminator 2, the character becomes even more likable.
Jesus, you're gonna kill that guy.
Of course, I'm a Terminator. What he wanted to do was just to simply add on new dimensions to the character. He becomes more humanized and more a Terminator with a heart.
Why do you cry?
You mean people?
Yeah.
I don't know. We just cry. You know, when it hurts.
Tomorrow, I'll bring you more of our interview. Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about the making of the film. It's a fun film. It's hard not to like it. It's really fun.
Had to have taken a lot of people to create all those effects.
Oh, can you believe it took over 1,000 people to create all the effects and the action-packed sequences?
But
I think the credits run on forever.
But it was worth it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, I'll tell you what, it also took a lot of work from the actors and actresses. In fact, Linda Hamilton says it was not easy at all to battle the cyborg in Terminator 2, and she thinks she was shortchanged when it came to her salary for the job. Hamilton had to change her physique, work out with a personal trainer for hours every day. Arnold Schwarzenegger reportedly got $15 million, including a $12 million jet for his work in the movie. Hamilton's salary, it was about $1 million. That is a big discrepancy. And she did. She had to get her arms pumped up, change her whole physique.
Well, we split the difference to get Mark Kriske, so he's here to tell us about the traffic and weather.
Morning,
Mark.
Hey, I had to do a lot of bulking up to get into this, too. The key phrase out of this latest one is, hasta la vista, baby. And he does say, I'll be back. But it's not at the end or anything, and it's not really in the context of the whole thing. Skycam 5 this morning, traffic backed up, rain, and the Skycam 5 is right now at the 710 north at the 91. Look at that, bumper to bumper, backed up. Man, oh man, people aren't going to be arriving into work until about 9:30, 10 o'clock if you have a 9 o'clock start. It is rough going, some rain, some clouds, some showers. We had earlier footage at the 110 north at Century Construction, and things are moving slow. Very slow. Just take your time and keep your cool. That is the main story. The Pomona Freeway west at Paramount. There's an accident in the right lane and traffic once again there, bumper to bumper. The 210 freeway west of Allen, a car has spun out and we got mega problems. As far as the weather goes this afternoon, temperatures a little bit cooler than what they have been. Highs in the mid-70s along the coast, cooler in the desert areas, up into the 90s, 91 degrees, as opposed to those daytime highs in the hundreds. Our afternoon high will be 83 degrees. At the moment, 66. Humidity way up there, 81%. Barometric pressure, 29.95. And the winds are from the southwest. They're quite light at 12 miles per hour. And it's that southeasterly flow that is giving us our rain this morning. There's about a 20% chance of showers and even some thunder showers. Might even see a thunderstorm later on this afternoon. Do enjoy it.
Yeah, we need the rain.
I mean, you know, not in traffic, but do enjoy it.
Look at the positive side. Thanks, Mark. Well, there was some very tough competition this weekend in Eau Claire, Michigan, where the locals geared up for the annual cherry pit spitting contest. 15 finalists showed up with their spitters in top form, hoping for the international championship. One man gave it an heroic effort, sending his pit just under 45 feet away. Where do the spectators sit? But it wasn't enough to beat 18-year-old Joe Lassard Jr., who spit his pit almost 54 feet. The victory was especially sweet as Joe won back a title that once belonged to his father. In fact, you might call Joe a real Oh, spitting image of his dad. Oh, how proud. Like father, like
Yes,
son.
you want to sit as far away from that as possible.
Something to talk about at the dinner table, maybe.
That's right.
7:56.
Ahead in our next hour, we'll hear from Ryan White's mother as the AIDS victim is still being tormented after death.
And Governor Pete Wilson joins us live from Sacramento. He'll give us an update on the state budget situation. Back in 2 minutes.
If there's a remote possibility that the taste of fresh squeezed orange juice is passing you by, it may be because your juice is made from concentrate with water added. But Tropicana Pure Premium is not from concentrate. Nothing's ever added or taken away. So no other major brand comes closer to this than this. Don't just sit there and watch. Switch to the great taste of Tropicana Pure Premium. You just can't pick a better juice.
This woman has mastered a technique that requires no less than 1,500 hours of rigorous certification training, 40 more hours of specialized training, and continual retraining. Using precision instruments, her skilled hands execute a task few can perform. You'd think all this training would go to her head. Nah, it goes to yours. Supercuts.
See your white pages for the location nearest you.
Experience. No news anchor in L.A. has more than Channel 5's Hal Fishman.
August 1961. I was in Berlin at the time, covering the crisis.
He's seen more in 30 years.
I recall I was typing my story out.
Than most do in a lifetime.
And he was going to put it on those big cards.
He doesn't just read the news.
Meet Hal at the airport. They count me down.
He's up experiencing it.
It was in German. Wow, I'm in trouble.
As L.A. changes, you can depend on Hal Fishman. Channel 5 News at 10.
Gangland violence takes the life of another infant.
Another piece of the Southland's aerospace industry heads out of state.
And the beat goes on as Palm Springs Mayor Sonny Bono tells all in a new book on this Monday, July the 8th, 1991.
Now, Southern California's first 2-hour morning newscast. Barbara Beck, Carlos Amasqua, Mark Krisky with traffic and weather. KTLA Morning News.
Good morning and welcome to KTLA Morning News. California still has those no-budget blues a week after the start of the fiscal year. We'll go live to Sacramento to talk with Governor Pete Wilson.
But first this morning, plus a look at the latest fancy footwork from the Royal Ballet. Also this morning, the California Highway Patrol says tougher seat belt enforcement may have kept the holiday death rate down. The CHP says 47 people died in traffic accidents around the state during the 4-day holiday weekend. 53 people were killed during the last 4-day Independence Day holiday. That was in 1989. Officers say they also arrested fewer people for drunken driving. One victim of this July 4th weekend apparently was drunk when he wandered onto the Hollywood freeway. His body was found on the southbound side of the freeway near the Vermont exit. CHP officials say he was the victim of a hit-and-run accident. Investigators had to shut down all but one lane of the 101 for more than an hour.
The holiday weekend was marred by violence that has left at least 21 people dead and 26 injured in attacks throughout the Southland. Morning News reporter Eric Spillman has been covering this story, and he joins us now with details live. Eric?
Well, Carlos, the latest incident happened at this bar here behind me here in Pacoima on Van Nuys Boulevard, where several hours ago some people inside got into an argument. Police say one of them pulled a gun, and when it was over, one man was dead. Violence all over the Southland, killed and injured dozens of people this weekend, and many of the victims were children. Michelle Jones is the youngest victim of the weekend violence, just 14 months old. She and her parents were getting out of their car to go inside their home in the Willowbrook area when somebody drove by and fired a gun. The little girl died at a hospital. Her parents and an uncle were also hit and injured. Police don't know why it happened. They're not even sure if the gunman, whoever it was, intended to target the family. In South Central LA, a bullet hole in a window. That one also came from a passing car. It sent a 4-year-old boy to the hospital in critical condition. In Walnut Park, a 17-year-old boy is found dead in his backyard. Police say he was shot to death during an argument with another teen. And in Anaheim, a young woman is on her way to the hospital after she was shot in the neck. Police have no witnesses, no idea why. It was not much of a holiday weekend for police and ambulance crews all over LA and Orange counties. They were kept busy the whole time. Carlos and Barbara?
Thank you, Eric Spillman, for that report. And in East Los Angeles, there was an unusual incident of violence. A motorcyclist opened fire on a crowd of people, was killed himself. Investigators say someone in the crowd fired back, and the motorcyclist was killed. Barbara?
The time is 8:02. Military police and San Bernardino County sheriffs are investigating an apparent murder-suicide at an Army base. 2 soldiers at Fort Irwin were found dead Sunday morning. A base spokesperson says Specialist Terry Stevenson Jr. was found shot to death about 3 hours before his sergeant, Timothy Miller, killed himself. The men were members of the Delta Company's 1st Battalion of the 52nd Infantry. Many people are waking up to the sound of raindrops this morning. That's right, it's raining. The summer storm, if you like to call it that, is taking many people by surprise. Umbrellas had to be broken out of storage as everybody begins their trek to work. The word on the road right now is be careful. Commuters should give themselves a little extra time to compensate for the traffic that's been slowed because of the rain.
If you're planning on watching Thursday's solar eclipse, here's some advice from the American Academy of Ophthalmology. It's warning people not to use smoke glass, photographic film, or 3D glasses to watch the eclipse, and it says never look at the sun directly. Just a few seconds can damage your eyes permanently. Now, here are a couple of suggestions on how you can watch it safely. Poke a small hole in a piece of paper or cardboard and let the sunlight shine through the hole onto a sheet of white paper. You can also use a small mirror to reflect the sun's image onto a darkened area, such as the shady side of a building. Now, you'll be actually watching the image of the eclipse on that shady area. Hopefully, there'll be no clouds when that happens.
Yeah, that would be. It's going to be quite an event on Thursday. I guess some of the best places down in through Hawaii. That's where they'll have the total eclipse, and they are saying people are flocking in by the thousands. They just don't know what to do with some of the tourists.
We're going to get what, 63% or something?
63%, about 4 minutes, and it's going to happen fairly early in the morning too. So you have to get up early in the morning and watch that. And
I'm up.
It's worth it.
If you're stuck in traffic, at least you'll have something to do Thursday morning. Just kind of look up and no, don't. Sorry, don't look up. Whoops. Skycam 5, 710 north at Willow, jackknife truck, and that is closed down. Look at that. You can see the beautiful shot. There's the truck. It is shut down. All lanes closed. It's going to be a while before Caltrans manages to clear things up, and major delays. We had earlier tape also of the 710 to the 91. That is getting backed up and moving along very slowly. A little bit of rain on the roads this morning, making things slippery and greasy. Take it easy. The Golden State Freeway south at the East LA interchange. A semi has hit the wall, and once again, all lanes closed. The 5 south of Broadway backed up to the 134, and that is due to an earlier accident. And in Orange County, the 91 east to the 710, 2 cars collided into the center divider. Weather-wise, showers this morning, clearing through the afternoon. Later today, 20% chance of clouds and showers, and even the possibility of some thunderstorms in the mountains and the deserts. We do have that southeasterly flow coming up this time of the year. That's what happens. But the low-lying clouds still lingering along the coast. You probably won't see any sun. And there is the strip of cloud and the wet weather that is moving in and giving us our current precipitation. As far as the highs this afternoon, in the valleys a little bit cooler, but the humidity really reaching way up there. The humidity is going to be running for the better part of the day at 80 to 90%, so it'll still feel just as hot. 91 in Riverside, 90 in Ontario, 78 degrees in Long Beach, San Fernando Valley, 87 in Burbank, Van Nuys up to 86. Our afternoon high right here in the downtown area at the Civic Center should reach 83 degrees. Temperature 66. The relative humidity is bumped up now to 90%. Of course, in the rain, it's a little bit more than that. Barometric pressure 29.99, and the winds are very light from the south at 4 miles per hour.
Depending on where you're standing, it's 100%.
100%, yeah. When you're standing there with your umbrella open, you're going, what do you mean 90%? It's 100%. And don't, the key word is look up at the eclipse on Thursday.
Yeah, don't look up.
We corrected that.
Thanks,
Mark. Well, now let's take a look at how things are shaping up on Wall Street at this hour. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 12 points at 2,919 points. Volume is 34 million shares. Moving over to the precious metals department. On the New York Commodities Exchange, gold opened at $372 an ounce. That's up 50 cents. While silver opened at $4.48 an ounce. That is unchanged. And it's close prior to the 4th of July holiday. Meanwhile, prices on the Tokyo Stock Exchange closed lower Monday. The Nikkei was down 722 points from the previous session, closing at 22,176.
At 7 minutes after 8, another business news, another blow to the Southland's struggling aerospace industry. McDonnell Douglas Corporation says it plans to shift 1,600 jobs from California to Missouri. The company will reassign the jobs from Long Beach to St. Louis for work on the C-17 Air Force cargo jet and the MD-11 and the MD-80 commercial airliners. McDonnell Douglas employs about 35,000 workers at its plants in Long Beach. And file this under disposable income. The richest person in the world, according to Forbes magazine, is Japanese real estate tycoon Takeshiro Mori. His net worth, $15 billion. But don't fret, Americans. Our own Sam Walton would have been the richest, but he split his cash among family members. He's the founder of Walmart discount stores. Others on the B list, the so-called B list, the DuPont family in the U.S. with $10 billion, followed by Swedes Hans and God Rousing with a paltry, I shouldn't say paltry, $9 billion.
I'll sign up for it, eh?
Yeah,
I'll take the B list.
No
problem at all. Well, imagine having a check from the government and no place to cash it. That's a daily problem for the so-called unbanked members of our society. We get details from CNN business reporter Bill Hartley.
25% of the United States population, that's 12 million households, does not use checking or savings accounts at banks. Most don't know they are worse off with the alternative. Bankers call people who don't have accounts the unbanked. They are largely low-income people or students or recent immigrants. Most of them earn less than $10,000 a year.
They don't quite understand about interest rates, and to tell you the truth, the banking system does not go overboard to try to get more customers in the low-income area.
These consumers often say they don't use banks because they think the service charges are too high. But the unbanked themselves usually pay even higher fees. Checking accounts cost between $7 and $10 a month in service charges. The fee for individual checks is about 25 cents. If a person wrote 10 checks a month, the maximum cost of that service would be $12.50. Compare that with a check cashing service. Cashing a check can cost as much as $10 for each $100 of the check. You spend up to $3 per money order to pay bills that you can't deliver in person. So on a $500 check, for instance, and buying 10 money orders, your maximum cost could be $80. If you are unbanked and you don't want to be, contact your city's Consumer Affairs Office about classes in simple bank transactions like balancing a checkbook.
Approach the banking system and maybe go to a certain bank and say, I want to be part of the system, but I don't understand it and I want to understand.
A relationship with a bank is not perfect, but it's usually a cheaper option that comes in handy. Bill Hartley, CNN Business News, New York.
Time now, 8:10.
When the morning news continues, California has got the no-budget blues. We'll ask Governor Pete Wilson why.
Palm Springs Mayor Sonny Bono says marriage to share included some swinging off stage, too.
And Hemingway would be proud as the Macho once again make tracks through the streets of Pamplona. Stay with us.
The Business Report is brought to you by the Money Store, America's largest independent home equity lender.
All home equity loans are not created equal. The Money Store gives you a home equity loan so good, we guarantee it. Use the money for home improvements, college tuition, bill consolidation, anything at all. Or return the money within 14 days at no cost to you. For a home equity loan at a low fixed rate we guarantee you like, call right now. 1-800-LOAN-YES. The Money Store, where America goes for money.
Oh, Miz, are you eating Newts and cottage cheese plain again?
Well,
Looks like you're trapped in the 50s, back when cottage cheese creativity was at an all-time low.
Well, what can you do with it?
Don't be wiggy. Scoop it in a baked potato. Spice it up with salsa. Swirl it in pasta.
Oh, I've got a meeting.
Meeting? You've got a floor to wax.
Me?
Newts and low-fat cottage cheese. Now it comes in 4-packs.
Hurry in for Circuit City's 4th of July weekend sale and save on this Magnavox VCR with remote, now a low $197. This JVC car stereo CD player, just $299 install. And this Hotpoint 14.7 cubic foot refrigerator, only $324 after $125 SCE rebate. Don't miss the 4th of July weekend sale, going on now at Circuit City.
Welcome to Circuit City, where service is state of the art.
There are lots of ways to pick a dentist. Ask a friend, look in the phone book, but what does that really tell you about them? At 1-800-DENTIST, we refer from a select group of dentists, and we have a full profile on each of them. Their education, how many years in practice, what special training they have. And with our dentists, you have the security of knowing that we refer thousands of patients to them every month. So if you need a dentist and you want to make an educated choice, call 1-800-DENTIST today.
Welcome back at 13 minutes after the hour. Checking other top stories this morning, there were some tense moments for residents of Highland Park when shifting winds caused problems for firefighters battling a brush fire. The blaze started Sunday afternoon near the Pasadena Freeway and Avenue 60. Steep terrain and winds made fighting the fire difficult, but with the aid of water-dropping helicopters, firefighters contained the flames in about 45 minutes. 7 homes were damaged by the fast-moving fire, which also burned 3 cars. No injuries were reported. 3 of 10 elderly residents pulled from a fire at their nursing home are in critical condition this morning. Fire erupted at the Cross Creek Cottages in Costa Mesa early Sunday morning. Some of the residents were rescued by neighbors before firefighters arrived. The injured suffered burns and smoke inhalation. The fire, which destroyed the retirement home, began in a laundry room.
A San Diego sheriff's deputy has been ruled out as an accomplice in a robbery. The robbery victim, Donald Van Ort, insists there was an accomplice when Deputy Michael Stanowich attempted to rob him. Stanowich was shot and killed by another deputy during the robbery. The victim identified the man he thought was a second suspect from sheriff's photographs. However, officials say the deputy he picked has a solid alibi. There is a warning this morning from the Secret Service. Agents say counterfeiters are targeting immigrants here in Los Angeles, especially Latinos. Merchants are being advised to examine cash more closely and pay special attention to $20 bills. Investigators say immigrants are victimized because they are likely to be unfamiliar with American currency. Carlos?
Looking ahead to stories developing later in the day, Los Angeles City Councilman Nate Holden and former football player Jim Brown will discuss a new graffiti cleanup program. It will be implemented by the Bloods and Crips street gangs. Sentencing is scheduled for Don Ray Moore, a former elementary school teacher who pleaded guilty to molesting 5th and 6th grade students. And Congressman Mel Levine will release a report detailing measures to stop the pollution of beaches and coastal waters.
It is 8:15 on this Monday morning. Good time to check the traffic and weather with Mark Kriske.
It was a mess even last night. I was out at the airport, even at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and traffic was getting backed up. And it's certainly backed up this morning. Let's go to the Skycam 5 live this morning. It is over the East LA interchange. A semi has hit the center divider. All lanes are closed, and it is getting backed up. We also have a SIG alert. The 710 North at Willow, jackknife truck all lanes closed, and it's going to remain closed until about 10:13 this morning. So if you're caught in that traffic right there, you can expect to park it and leave it there for a while. Just stick with your car. The 2 south of the San Fernando Road injury accident backed up to the 134. Ambulance is on the way. 60 west at Paramount, injury accident in the right lane. And in the Inland Empire, the 10 west from Vineyard all the way to 4th Street, the right lane is closed, and that'll be closed until 4 o'clock this afternoon. If you're traveling today, here's what you can expect on the East Coast, the Northeast Coast. Clouds and showers starting to move up from a cold front that swept through Chicago in through Minnesota. Some areas received some heavy rain. Illinois' golf ball size hail over the northern portion of Illinois last night, and even a tornado touched down in Minnesota. Southeast continuing hot and humid, possibly some severe thunderstorms later on this afternoon. Through the plains, you can expect some clearing weather, and in around the Great Lakes, clearing weather. Once again in the Rockies in the south, possibly some showers and some thunderstorms. Daytime highs this afternoon, 83 in Seattle. They're going to have a beautiful day, lots of clear skies. Denver up to 86. 97 degrees will be the hot spot in Dallas, 88 in Atlanta, 92 for Miami. Continuing very hot and humid, and a good likelihood of afternoon thunderstorms. Right here in the downtown at the moment, it's 66, relative humidity 90%, barometric pressure 29.99, and the winds are very light from the south at 4. Barbara?
Thank you, Mark. It is 8:17. In case you missed them this weekend, let's check out the winning Lotto 653 numbers from Saturday. The Lotto numbers are 17, 34, 40, 48, 49, and 52. The bonus number was 6. A lot of people picked 5, but no one picked all 6. So Wednesday's drawing will be worth $13 million. And the winning deco hand, the King of Hearts, Jack of Clubs, 3 of Diamonds, and the Queen of Spades.
And there's a man who always has a winning hand, and that is Nolan Ryan. In sports this morning, all eyes were on Texas last night as Nolan Ryan showed once again why he's a legend in his own time, making a bid for yet another no-hitter. The Angels were never really in this game. Ryan struck out 10 of the first 14 Angel hitters, including a team record 7 in a row. In the 5th, 39-year-old Dave Winfield watched the 44-year-old Ryan throw a perfect curve on an 0-2 pitch. You see Ryan here striking everyone out. Ryan, the ace on the mound, gets one right past Winfield. But, again in the 8th inning with Ryan working toward his 8th career no-hitter, Winfield breaks up that bid. Still, the Rangers swept the 3-game series. Rangers win it 7-zip. What a pitcher. And it was a scream at Dodger Stadium against the Braves. Manager Tommy Lasorda had a few words with the umpiring crew. He was kicked out. In the bottom of the 4th, Darryl Strawberry's first career hit off Atlanta's Charlie Leibrandt scores Brett Butler 2-1 Dodgers. Butler extended his career best hitting streak to 21 games by going 3 for 4. Dodgers win at 5-3 and have a 5-game lead in the West going into the All-Star break. Well, the odds were 33-1 that Michael Stich would win the championship at Wimbledon. And defying the odds, Stich beat up fellow German Boris Becker in the first all-German final. 3-time champion Boris Becker in the far court was expected to win the Cinderella run of his 22-year-old opponent, but Stich rose to the occasion. He beat Becker with 18 winners and 3 aces in the first set alone. Becker appeared to come on strong in the second set, only to falter as Stich got stronger and stronger. Look at that forehand. Michael Stich's quick forehand was too much for Becker. Stich wins his first ever Grand Slam title. And if you think it was hot here in Los Angeles over the weekend, you should have been in Barstow. It was the 20th annual Fireworks 250 off-road race. They started in sunlight and ended in moonlight. Walker Evans was the winner, successfully defending his title. Brian Stewart was second, and Roger Mears was third.
Knew I should have been in Barstow.
Oh, it's a fun
Should have
race.
been in Barstow.
Yeah, that's great.
It is 8:19, and we'll be back in a moment.
It's where individuals become a family. It's where they share memories and news and opinions. It's where parents get to know their children and their children's children. Homes will always be an important part of people's lives. That's why home loans are such a secure investment. And that's where Home Savings of America has put its depositors' money for more than 100 years.
Having 5 children is very expensive, so I have to save any way that I can. I use double coupons, I buy specials, and now I use Vons Club. I joined for free and got a Vons Club card, and now I get extra savings automatically. With 5 children, I appreciate anything that doesn't take any extra effort.
Double coupons, more buys, weekly specials, and now Vons Club. Use them and enjoy Vons higher quality without paying extra for it.
1, 2, 3.
Sniper. Uh-oh. Free fall. Revolution. Roaring Rapids. Cyclone.
Welcome.
Tonight at 6, better be ready for Charles.
This means war.
Now he's cooking up more comedy.
Don't you tell them.
And he's serving up the laughs for a full hour.
Works for me.
So join the man of the hour, Monday through Friday at 6.
Are you serious?
You must be crazy.
And who could argue with such a great host? That's our Charles.
I made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Twice the laughs, twice the fun.
Hey, count me in.
The Charles in Charge Hour, tonight at 6 on Channel 5.
It is 8:22. Vandals desecrated the grave of Ryan White over the weekend. The Indiana teenager's battle with AIDS brought him worldwide attention before his death last April. CNN's Mark Spain reports.
A disgusted and hurt mother watches as workers try to figure out how not to further damage her son's tombstones.
I just can't imagine anybody wanting to destroy property of somebody who is deceased.
Jeannie White believes whoever tipped over the black and white monuments, each weighing 2,000 pounds, did so Friday night, the last time the site was seen intact.
Could not believe it. I wanted to lash out. I think, leave him alone, let him rest.
Ryan's mom says kids, probably not from the Cicero area, with nothing better to do, decided to vandalize the area. Ryan gained global attention trying to inform the public about AIDS, the disease he contracted at age 13. He lost his personal battle last year, but his memory continues to comfort and inspire others. It is why visitors come here and leave pieces of themselves at his grave. Jeannie says a fence may be the only answer to keep this from happening again.
I'd hate for kids not to be able to go up and put their things on it, but it may come down to that.
Even the workers say it might not be a bad way to go.
Spend a lot of hours every year taking care of things just like this. Whether it's Ryan White or a Civil War veteran, it's disgusting.
Any damage that was done will be repaired, and then the stones will be returned.
Ryan contracted the deadly virus through a blood transfusion for hemophilia. Carlos?
In Croatia, Serbian nationalists battled rebels in 10 hours of deadly fighting, but on a tiny island off the coast, negotiators worked feverishly to hammer out a ceasefire agreement to end fighting between Yugoslavia's central government and its breakaway republics. The newest agreement orders troops back to barracks while giving Slovenia limited control of its 27 border posts. Travel revenues must be turned over to the federal government, and full-scale peace talks are scheduled to begin August 1st. Military officials say minesweeping operations in the Persian Gulf will have to continue longer than planned because of leftover Iraqi mines still blocking sea lanes. Iraq only documented about 1,000 such explosives, but so far, a multinational naval force has destroyed more than 1,200 of them. Those mines pose a danger not only to ships, but to underwater oil pipelines as well. 2 suspected IRA terrorists escaped from a maximum security prison in London, and Scotland Yard says they're armed and extremely dangerous. The 2 men used a gun to force their way into the prison courtyard, then scaled a fence to the outside. They've already shot 1 man in the leg in order to steal his car. The fugitives were awaiting trial on charges of conspiracy to murder and are suspected of several bombings last November.
Time is 8:25. Well, California is not the only state being rocked by Mother Nature these days. A moderate earthquake rattled parts of Missouri and Arkansas yesterday afternoon. The U.S. Geological Survey says the temblor measured in at 4.0 on the Richter scale. No reports of injuries or any serious damage. Of course, the worst we have right now is rain, causing some traffic problems.
No quakes, thankfully.
No quakes, yeah.
Mark, how's it going out there?
It's, well, not looking too good this morning, of course, with the rain, and there's always an increased volume of traffic after a long weekend. That's what we're battling this morning. Skycam 5 at the 4 level. It's not moving along too badly, actually. One of the very few areas you can see that dense fog and clouds still over the downtown area, and we can expect to have some showers on and off. But a SIG alert this morning on the 710 at Willow, northbound, jackknife truck. All lanes are closed and will remain closed until about 10 o'clock or 10:15. That's another half hour to 45 minutes. 710 south, just north of Alondra, 3-car non-injury accident, backed up all the way to Firestone. 60 west, bumper to bumper. It's a slow one from Fairway to the San Gabriel Freeway. And we also have heading into town on the 405 north from Westminster to Long Beach. You can expect massive, massive delays. Slow down this morning. Watch out for those slippery roads. It's just a touch wet out there, and it will dry up this afternoon. We will get into some sunshine. Temperatures not as warm as they have been over the weekend. A little bit cooler, but the humidity's way up there. Ontario up to 90 degrees. You can expect to have more sun in through the valley, especially up in through the San Fernando Valley in the downtown area. Our high this afternoon, 83 degrees. Van Nuys, 86, 91 in Palmdale. Along the coast, those clouds and showers will linger. Not so much in the form of showers, but the cloud and the low-lying fog. It's going to be a while before that burns off this morning. It's 66 right now. Relative humidity, 90%. And you can see that fog and humidity just hanging over the city still. Barometric pressure, 29.99. It is rising, and the winds are very light from the south at 4. It's what we call our July southeasterly flow, and we're getting some of that warm, humid air coming up from Mexico, and some thunderstorms possibly this afternoon.
But we need the rain. We're trying to think of the positive.
Yeah, if you're on one of those automatic sprinkler systems, too, you might want to wake up this morning and go, turn it off, and, you know, save some water, and you'll get your plants and garden and lawn watered automatically.
That's a good idea.
Nature's way.
Thanks, Mark. Well, there is a happy ending in the story of Snowball the goat. You may remember him. He was almost put to sleep by animal regulators after he butted his owner to death last May. Snowball was confined to a cage for 40 days while authorities in Georgia considered his fate. But reports abound that Snowball's elderly owner used to beat the animal in order to make him mean. Newly released to the open pastures of a local animal refuge, Snowball has shown no aggressive tendencies. He's been allowed to keep his 15-inch horns, but he was neutered to make him less aggressive, so there won't be any little snowballs. A tradition dating back to the year 1324 proved just as exciting in 1991. Thousands jammed the streets of Pamplona this weekend for the annual Running of the Bulls. Like the thousands before them, these young men tested their bravery by running the half-mile stretch to the bull ring, hopefully without being gored by one of the bulls. Well, only one man was injured, but no one's sure if he was trampled by a bull or by the thousands of people running with them.
Uncertain about her future, Pam wore velour scoop neck top and black rubberized leggings under her wedding dress. She also hid a long black leather motorcycle jacket in the choir room. A-line and Klein.
Jack Shea and Partners used to be in a skyscraper.
Jack, it's Tokyo.
Now it's next to a dairy farm.
Mr. Hasegawa.
Eating out has taken on a whole new meaning. But if the pace is slower, business is not. With AT&T, international data moves fast, and AT&T video conferencing's a smart alternative to overseas travel. And that's helping business a lot more than a fancy address.
Jack, need a lift? Nah, I think I'll walk.
A world of help from AT&T.
Smart businesses everywhere are discovering the post office. For dependable service and true value, there's Priority Mail, with delivery in 2 days for $2.90. To keep dollars flowing and help the bottom line, there's Express Mail, with delivery guaranteed next morning for just $9.95. For speed, reliability, and overall value, no one delivers for growing businesses like your post office.
We deliver for you.
What can you get at a $5 clothing store?
lot more than you bargained for. Hey! The latest looks, always $8 or less. Call today for the $5 clothing store nearest you.
Welcome back at 8:31. Another amateur cameraman has come forward with videotape that could help police solve a crime. Southgate police investigators are using a home video to track down rival gang members involved in a fight early Sunday morning. A Southgate resident who wants to remain unidentified was awakened about 4 a.m. by the sound of gunshots and bottles breaking. He grabbed his video camera and started rolling. Neighbors called the police, but by the time they arrived, most of the gang members had fled. The tape includes footage of a teenager who was hit by more than 50 shotgun pellets.
It is 8:31. The long weekend here in the Southland was marred by deadly violence, much of it gang-related. This morning, at least 21 people are dead and 26 injured. Eric Spillman has been covering this story, and he joins us now live from Pacoima. Eric?
Barbara, police arrested a man outside this bar here on Van Nuys Boulevard early this morning. There was a shooting here that happened shortly after midnight. Started with an argument. It ended with the death of one of the patrons inside the bar. A security guard was also shot and injured trying to break up the fight. And so the holiday weekend ended just as it started, with more violence. In Anaheim, a young woman is rushed to the hospital by helicopter. She has been shot in the neck. Police have no witnesses and no explanation. Just one casualty in a weekend of violence, a weekend in which many of the victims are young children. 14-month-old Michelle Jones is the youngest to die. She and her family were in their own driveway on their way inside their Willowbrook home. Somebody drove by and fired a gun. The little girl died at the hospital. Her parents and an uncle are still there recovering from their wounds. In South Central LA, a bullet is fired into a house. Also from a passing car, a 4-year-old boy is critically injured. And in Walnut Park, a 17-year-old boy dies in his own backyard. Police say he was shot after he got into an argument with another teen. About a half a dozen or so of the victims of the violence this weekend under the age of 18, many of them just young children who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Carlos and Barbara?
Thank you, Eric, for that live report. Also this morning in East Los Angeles, a bizarre incident in which a drive-by gunman was himself gunned down. Police say a motorcyclist opened fire on a crowd of people, but was thrown from the bike and killed when someone fired back. Carlos?
There were fewer drunks driving this holiday weekend. The California Highway Patrol says numbers are down slightly from the last 4-day July 4th weekend. CHP officers were out in force with drunk driver checkpoints throughout the state. 2,539 suspected drunk drivers have been arrested. Officials say the holiday traffic death rate is also down. 47 people were killed in traffic accidents around the state. 3 residents of a retirement home are in critical condition after a fire destroyed their building. A building at Cross Creek Cottages in Costa Mesa was engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived at 3:43 Sunday morning. Some of the elderly residents were rescued from the burning buildings by neighbors who woke up to breaking glass and a roaring fire.
I just started bringing them out and telling them to stay there, and I brought 2 out, and then I went back in. By then the fire was just real thick. I couldn't see, but I knew where the rooms were and everything, and that's when I ran into a neighbor of mine. We hit heads, and I fell to the floor, and then he pulled me out.
The injured residents were taken to local hospitals for treatment of burns and smoke inhalation. The fire broke out when a gas line in a laundry room failed.
Well, more than 1,400 worshipers turned out to hear the newly appointed Cardinal Roger Mahony deliver his first Catholic Mass since his return to the Southland from the Vatican. The bells of St. Vibiana's Cathedral rang out yesterday, calling the faithful to devotions. The overflow audience outside encountered some gay and feminist protesters angry over church doctrine against abortion and homosexuality. But the demonstration remained peaceful. Some 20,000 people turned out in Long Beach Sunday for a tour of the historic battleship Missouri. The Big Mo, as it is nicknamed, is being decommissioned after almost 50 years of service. Awestruck tourists were led onto the deck where the instrument of surrender was signed by the Japanese to end World War II. They also got an up-close look at the huge guns that fired on Korea in the early 1950s. The Missouri's last mission was in the Persian Gulf earlier this year, and it played a big role.
It's a
In the
good thing
Persian Gulf also.
the weather held for that, which was a big event. And also
Held all
at
weekend.
Point Magoo, they had the Blue Angels, and they flew. Saturday was a bit iffy, but Sunday was absolutely gorgeous.
It was actually a pretty good weekend weather-wise. We can't complain as far as that goes.
Watch out
we can
this
complain
morning.
this morning, though.
Yes.
Totally different situation. Surprise, surprise. Good morning, Southland, and welcome to, yes, rain. Welcome to, of course, after a long weekend, heavy traffic, and welcome to slippery roads because of that entire rainy, wet mess out there. First of all, the Skycam is on its way to the 110 North at the tunnels. There are 3 separate accidents, and we should have some footage of that in just a second. But earlier, it was out at the 91 East at the 710 North, 2-car accident and a major backup. We have parking lots this morning, not freeways, just slow moving. 5 South. At the East LA interchange, a semi has hit into the center wall. An ambulance has been dispatched and is on its way there. 60 West, bumper to bumper once again from Fairway to the San Gabriel Freeway. And also in the Inland Empire, the 91 West is bumper to bumper, and that is from the 15 all the way to Cole due to heavy rain. We're not even speaking of rain, we're talking of heavy rain in the Inland Empire. Let's have a look at what is happening and what is causing this wet weather. We have the low-lying cloud this morning. That is typical, of course, but what's the typical southeasterly flow starting to move up, and that could even cause and spark some late afternoon thunderstorms. Right there is the band of cloud all the way through the Southland. Further south and to the north, they do have clear skies. You will get some sunshine this afternoon, but not likely along the coast. It will turn partly cloudy. Daytime highs this afternoon, much cooler than what they have been in the inland and along the valleys. Highs in the 90s as opposed to the hundreds, but with the humidity up there, you're not going to get much relief. 78 Long Beach, Anaheim, 82 degrees, clearing through this afternoon. Palm Springs, they'll reach 103 degrees, lots of sun there, no problem. Our daytime high, 83, 87 for Burbank, not even touching a 90, so it's a little bit of relief, but once again, as I mentioned, with the humidity, it's still going to be hot and sticky and warm. Temperature is 66. The humidity is up to 90% unless you're standing under the rain where it's a little bit more. Barometric pressure 29.99, and the winds are from the south at 4. Just a quick traffic note. Lanes in both directions on the Orange Freeway, the 57, they'll be closed on the on and off ramps, or on and off between Chapman Avenue and Lambert, and that goes on from 10 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock in the morning, once again on and off, but that will last until April of 1994.
That's not for just this morning.
Yeah, no, yeah, so you're looking at slow and go for a long time overnight.
Sort of a long SIG alert.
Yes, good idea. If you haven't left for work already and you can be late, just stay home. Have an extra cup of coffee.
Sure,
Don't rush in.
Take your time because you're going to be late anyway. No sense in, and one thing too, if you're on empty, you might want to put some gas in the car because you're just going to stall
Sit out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All right.
Mark.
Thank you, Mark. In entertainment news this morning, a report that shortly before his death on July 1st, actor Michael Landon had a premonition that he was about to die. The coming issue of TV Guide magazine reports the actor told his wife he felt he didn't have long to live. His wife, Cindy, shared the premonition with Landon's 9 children, who gathered for what was to be their last weekend with their father. Celebrity Mayor Sonny Bono's autobiography hits the bookstores later today. The book contains several interesting revelations, including Sonny's confession that he and ex-wife Cher were so broke they once bummed lunch money from the chauffeur of their Rolls Royce. Aw. Sonny also discusses infidelity during his rocky marriage to Cher, their success as pop stars during the 60s, and his current life as mayor of Palm Springs.
A growing number of British subjects have a solution to Prince Charles's marital problems. They say, make him king. According to poll results, a significant number of Britons reject divorce and think becoming king would ease the strain on Charles's marriage with Princess Diana. The London Sunday Mirror cited the poll in an editorial calling for Queen Elizabeth to step aside in 1993.
That's how you ease the pressure? Become king?
It might.
Yeah,
Who knows?
yeah.
You know, who knows with that relationship?
Who am I to ask that, right?
It is up in the air.
It is 8:40, still ahead. We go to Sacramento for a live interview with Governor Pete Wilson to learn why we still don't have a budget.
Also, the state government in Maine goes back to work after a week off. We'll tell you why.
The Entertainment Report is brought to you by KBIG FM 104.3.
Give your family an experience they'll never forget when the very best artists and athletes from around the world unite in a spectacular tribute to the American spirit. Celebrate this special occasion with your family and treat them to the magic that has made the greatest show on earth your #1 entertainment value. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, an American tradition that's part of growing up.
Opens July 17th at Long Beach Arena, coming to LA Sports Arena July 25th.
Honey, I hate our car.
Why? It's a good car.
It looks like a car that's been abandoned.
Oh, come on.
We go to your sister's. I'm embarrassed. Let's get a new one.
And start making car payments again? Oh, great idea.
Well, then let's get it fixed up. You know, get rid of those dents in the front, get it painted, make it look nice again.
You any idea how much a good paint job costs?
At One Day, you can get a good paint job for just $219. And with an appointment this week, it's only $199.
Welcome back to KTLA Morning News at 8:42. Here is the budget scorecard. Connecticut, Illinois, California, and Pennsylvania still without new money plans. In Maine, the governor's signature on a temporary budget will let 10,000 state employees go back to work today. The governor had shut down all non-essential services last week when lawmakers were unable to come up with a compromise on a workers' compensation plan. About 600 workers rallied on the State House steps, calling for an end to the stalemate. But unless the governor and legislators can come to terms by Wednesday, the interim financing will run out.
Well, a week has passed since the start of the new fiscal year, and California finds itself in the embarrassing position of operating without a state budget. A $55 billion budget package was passed by the state legislature on June 20th, but Governor Pete Wilson has refused to sign it. The holdup is a $2 billion budget deficit, which both the governor and the assembly agree can be covered by additional income taxes on the rich. So what's the problem? Well, now the governor and some assembly Republicans say they won't go for a tax on the rich unless the assembly agrees to reform workers' compensation rules. Negotiations begin again today, and the governor has exactly 1 week to either sign or veto the budget. Joining us today live via satellite from Sacramento is Governor Pete Wilson. Welcome, Governor. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Barbara, and congratulations on inaugurating this new show.
Thank you. How kind of you. Governor, that budget was on your desk at one time, and we had all heard that you were going to veto it. Instead, you sent it back. Now, some assemblymen have been heard to say that the governor's a wimp. He blinked. Did you?
No, only one said that, and I think to be charitable, nobody pays much attention to him. No, I sent it back at the request of the Speaker and the President Pro Tem, who made to me the plea that they didn't want to have to go through again getting the votes necessary for what has been a very difficult budget. And I agree with that, because there's only 1 point that stands between the finish and the unfinished business, and that is to bring about a reform on workers' compensation so that we will stop the terrible flow of jobs out of California. We've got a number of businesses leaving the state because of the need for reform in workers' compensation, particularly that relating to stress claims.
Governor, some people did pay attention to that, but in any case, some legislators say that you and some Assembly Republicans are being pressured by big business interests to tie workers' compensation to the budget process, and that this is keeping us from having a budget. Is that worth it, and how do you respond to that?
I respond by saying that we are being pressured by the owners of small businesses even more. And small business owners provide about 85% of the jobs in California, and for that matter across the nation. But in California, we have the anomaly, the irony that even though they are paying some of the highest workman's compensation premiums in the country, workers, injured workers, those with real injuries who deserve the kind of disability benefits that they ought to have, simply are not getting them. California ranks in the bottom half of the states. So what is it that causes this strange irony of very high cost to employers, to small businessmen as well as large, and at the same time, these very inadequate benefits for people who are truly injured? And the answer is
that the attorneys, the lawyers, are making the money. That's why the premiums are so high and the benefits are so low. And it's because of a bunch of phony stress claims that have exploded 700% in the last decade.
Governor, that may mean, in fact, that some money that should not be going to attorneys would not go to them. However, it's been estimated that the savings would only be $370 million a year if these changes were made in workers' compensation. Considering all that's gone on, is that really worth holding up the budget for?
Yes, it is, Barbara, because what we're seeing is something that has already become a major problem. It's causing small businesses to shut down. It's causing a number of businesses that would otherwise stay and expand in California to relocate. And other states are well aware of it, and they are aggressively seeking the owners of California business to come and relocate in their states, and with great success. And what we're seeing is the tip of the iceberg. And interestingly enough, you mentioned in your earlier analysis of those states that haven't yet passed a budget, the state of Maine. They're similarly engaged in an effort to bring about reform, but the lawyers are such a potent lobby. They have such a death grip in so many legislatures, including ours, that it's seemingly almost impossible through the normal legislative process to bring this to any kind of reform.
It has taken a lot of work to get where we are with the budget. What exactly needs to be done now? What are you going to do from this day forward to get this budget passed?
Well, to be fair, most of the hard work is done. We have, if I do say so, with the legislative leaders, brought about a considerable amount of reform in what has been a terribly difficult budget. The gap that we had to close is unprecedented, and we are almost there. We have had to close a gap that was 1/3 of the entire general fund budget. But we've done everything except achieve this reform, and I can assure you and anyone else who's interested that we have the votes to actually close the entire negotiation, but we are rightly demanding reform of a system that simply is unfair both to employers and to injured workers who have real injuries rather than phony stress claims.
Governor, just quickly, 10 years ago, California was giving money back to the taxpayers. What does this say about California's future?
California's future is one of relentless population growth, and that means growth in some of the most expensive services like education, like Medi-Cal, like welfare. These are services that are very expensive if we don't have the job base, if we don't have the employment base to keep pace with this growth in population and with expensive services like education, then it means that California's quality of life will deteriorate.
Governor, thank
but
you
if
for
we are
being
wise
with us
enough
this
to
morning.
reform the system, why, we'll have a very good California.
Governor, we're running out of time. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Say hello
Carlos?
to Carlos for me.
I will. Carlos?
Thank you, Governor. Coming up later this morning, a brush fire threatens Southland homes. We'll be right back. Back now at 8:52, a hillside brush fire combined with shifting winds to cause tense moments for some residents of Highland Park. The fire started Sunday afternoon near the Pasadena Freeway and Avenue 60. Steep terrain made fighting the blaze difficult, but with the aid of water-dropping helicopters, firefighters contained the flames in about 45 minutes. 7 homes were damaged by the fast-moving fire, which also burned 3 cars. No injuries were reported. 3 of 10 elderly residents pulled from a fire at their nursing home are in critical condition this morning. Fire filled the Cross Creek cottages in Costa Mesa early Sunday morning. Some of the residents were rescued by neighbors before firefighters arrived. The injured suffered burns and smoke inhalation. The fire destroyed the retirement home.
A special narcotics unit at the Burbank Airport has been shut down. Burbank police officials say there was not much work for the 6-man team to do. Only 6 arrests have been made since the anti-drug trafficking unit began in April. And despite the shutdown, officials say they still have ongoing programs to stop drugs being smuggled through the airport. The popular sports memorabilia show in Anaheim was marked by yet more theft over the weekend. Security guards arrested a man accused of stealing $30,000 worth of baseball cards. The arrest follows thefts on Tuesday and again on Wednesday night. $600,000 were stolen in those incidents, but authorities say the suspect arrested Saturday, 44-year-old Ronald Allen Fink, has not been linked to the earlier thefts. Secret Service agents say beware of bogus bills. Counterfeiters are evidently hard at work here in Los Angeles, especially among Latino immigrants. Investigators say they are being victimized because, chances are, they are unfamiliar with American currency. Merchants are being warned to examine cash more closely and pay special attention to $20 bills. Carlos.
Wrapping up sports this morning, all eyes were on Texas last night as Nolan Ryan showed once again why he's a legend in his own time, making a bid for yet another no-hitter. The Angels were never really in this game. Ryan struck out 10 of the first 14 Angels hitters, including, well, this looks like the Dodgers game. Oh, there's Nolan Ryan. There we go. He just struck out so many batters. What was it, 7 in a row? In the 5th, 39-year-old Dave Winfield came up to bat. He watched the 44-year-old throw a perfect curve on an 0-2 pitch. The two ageless veterans would meet again in the 8th inning, with Ryan working toward his 8th career no-hitter. That's when Winfield broke Ryan's bid up. Still, the Rangers swept the 3-game series. Rangers win it 7-zip. Here's the Dodgers. That's Tommy Lasorda screaming at the umpire. He took an early shower.
Headed toward right, it'll get through.
In the bottom of the 4th, Darryl Strawberry's first career hit off Atlanta's Charlie Liebrandt scores Brett Butler 2-1 Dodgers. Butler extended his career best hitting streak by 21 games by going 3 for 4. Dodgers win at 5-3 and have a 5-game lead in the West going into the All-Star break.
It is 8:55, and chances are, I'm willing to bet, traffic on the freeways is still really, really heavy in this rain. Mark?
You know, just looking at that film footage of Tommy Lasorda, what does he care? He still looks great, and the weight is still off, right? He probably has girls chasing him into the shower.
The weight is still off.
Yes, the morning commute, not exactly easy going. Heavy volume of traffic after a holiday weekend. Skycam 5 just over the San Bernardino Freeway east, and that is just east of the East LA interchange. Things are moving along quite slowly. It's basically the story everywhere, slow and go. The Golden State North at the Pasadena Freeway. On the 110 North, a car has hit the center divider, and that is slowing things up to a dead crawl. The earlier SIG alert we had, one bit of good news at least, the 710 North at Willow, where the jackknife semi was blocking the road in all directions and all lanes were shut down. That has finally moved off, but you can see traffic backed up for miles. And it has been moved. The SIG alert is over, but it will be slow for the next while. CHP advisory also for the 60 East all the way to the 710. That is slowing things down considerably as we have a look at that Skycam 5 shot. 5 South, just south of Harbor. We have a car accident. It's hit the center divider. And once again, at the 91 West, east of Long Beach Boulevard, an accident. Ambulance is on the scene, so things are going to be moving along slowly. Some showers this morning, continuing with the possibility, 20% chance of showers and thunder showers continuing this afternoon. Daytime highs cooler, but the humidity's up there, so really no relief. Along the beaches, you can expect those temperatures to remain quite cool. That marine layer, and it'll be doubtful if it even burns off through the afternoon. Ontario 90 up to 83 downtown, 75 in along the coastal areas. Currently 66, relative humidity 90%, barometric pressure 29.99, and the winds very light from the south at 4. And it's that southeasterly flow that is giving us the humidity and a bit of wet weather. It's great news for lawns and great news, especially, I mean, you saw that video of the fire.
Yes.
Quickly it spreads.
Could have used that rain then.
Could have used it then, not this morning, but at least we are getting some of the wet stuff.
All right. Thank you so much, Mark. Moving on this morning, a young ballerina's dream has got to be to one day dance with a major ballet company. Well, that dream is coming true for a group of children. They will be getting a chance to dance with the Royal Ballet. We have this report on the auditions.
It was just like the show A Chorus Line.
It would be a big chance for me.
Only the dancers were younger, children.
It would be a good thing to put on your resume.
Over 100 dancers showed up for the open audition. Just a few would be chosen. But the opportunity is a great one. The chosen few will be dancing with England's Royal Ballet when it opens next week in New York at the Metropolitan Opera House.
Well, it's a great opportunity because they're worldwide known and it'd be very exciting.
Exciting indeed, and nerve-wracking. 12-year-old Darlene Bramer has been dancing for 9 years, so she's learned how to overcome her nerves.
Well, I just think calm and breathe deeply and smile.
Yes, smiling is important, according to the Royal Ballet's assistant ballet mistress, Jackie Tallis.
I'm looking for a girl's natural sort of ability to move, which is important, confidence, because they've got such a short time really to learn and to be sort of plonked on the stage with the company, that they've got to be sort of bright and confident enough to carry out the execution of everything.
And because the chosen children will have to fit into already existing costumes, the height of the young dancers was an important factor. 8-year-old Alice Murphy is one of 2 children picked to appear in still life at the Penguin Cafe.
Well, I try to tell myself that I do good and that if I don't make it, it's okay.
But you made it.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel now?
Excited.
It's been 8 years since the Royal Ballet last appeared in New York. Its 2-week engagement at the Metropolitan Opera House begins Monday night. Sherry Dean, CNN Entertainment News, New York.
Smile is everything.
And that wraps up the first edition of KTLA Morning News.
Thanks so much for being with us, and join us again tomorrow. See you then.